No, they say save the drama for your mama, but we're not gonna. What am I talking about? I'm talking about Sue Storm, man. Okay, Sue Storm, the Fantastic Four movie. There is a report out there. There's a report out there that has many a nerd up in arms, angry, upset, confused. The rumor is that Sue Storm will be the leader of the Fantastic Four team. What? Are you mad about this, chat? Are you mad about this? Are you happy about this? Where's that one guy? Where's that one guy that's always in every comic shop that pops its head out of the corner and is like, well, actually, Sue's actually quite the capable character and in a lot of ways has always been in charge in the heart of the team. Can't wait to see that finally adapted into the... And then we shove his face into the... So there's probably some of you that are down with this, and there's some of you that are really upset. So I want to explain this. I want to talk about it, okay? So let's break it down. And I'll steel man both sides. We'll have a nice nuanced discussion about it. So when this rumor was first revealed, this was a long time ago, actually. This happened around the time of casting. And this is a good lesson for you because you should always be watching my content always forever, because years ago we already talked about this. So if you really want to be in the know, like and subscribe and shut the fuck up and watch all my shit all the time. Years ago, when Marvel was casting for the Fantastic Four, we heard some pretty big high profile names for Sue Storm specifically. And one of the reasons why, or that the scoopers were reporting as for why, was because Sue Storm was going to be the leader of the team. And in fact, they were doing chemistry reads for this dynamic. And I remember even back then being like, what the fuck? And I was concerned, okay? I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I'm still kind of concerned about it, and I want to explain why. So first of all, let's say a couple of things about Sue. She's brilliant. She's crazy powerful. Literally, like brilliant, crazy powerful. You know, I think she's at a very high intelligent level, man. She's like probably in the top 90, maybe top 80th percentile of intellect within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You know, she's a scientist. She's smart. Yeah, she's really capable, really intelligent, incredibly powerful. Okay. And beyond that, of course, there are a lot of moments in comics where Sue sort of takes control. There's a point in comics in the Hickman John where she actually becomes the de facto leader of Atlantis, or at least a part of Atlantis, and literally like kind of cucks Namor a little bit. It's kind of crazy. And then, of course, there's the Malice stuff. There are many different times where Sue shows, she's very capable. She's like, she's got it going on. And of course, in the model of a family, in the model of a marriage, every husband in a happy marriage understands that it's really about the wife, right? Like, you've heard these things, like a happy wife, happy life, right? And so in a lot of ways, like, mom and wife is the leader of the family, okay? In a lot of different ways. And so I think it's absolutely fair that Sue would be very capable and hold the family together in a lot of different ways. She's very intelligent. She's very smart. So I have no problems with Sue specifically being adapted in a way to reflect those qualities from the comics, and frankly, maybe more modern sensibilities. All of that totally understandable, completely on par. I'm on that team. That's cool. Ticks on sale. Okay, cool. We'll talk about that in just a second. Let me finish the point here. Okay. I'm in the middle. I'm flowing, Adam. I'm flowing. Okay, so I understand that, completely accept that. Here's the issue, though. There's really two problems here. And if you look, I'll be honest with you, like a lot of people that are mad about this, they probably just like whamming bad. Okay, they maybe can't even articulate why. And in some ways, I'm fucking up here a little bit because I'm going to give those people actual ammunition, actual arguments, actual things they can bring up to fight against their perceived enemies. But at the same time, I just got to do what I got to do. I got to break it down. Okay? It's more than just wham and bad. Here's a couple of things. Number one, Reed Richards is the most intelligent person in the Marvel Universe. Now, technically, Dr. Doom, Valeria Richards, who it's a fucking shame we don't have in this movie, but Dr. Doom, Valeria Richards, and Reed Richards are basically constantly in contention for the most intelligent person in the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. Reed Richards himself is so fucking intelligent that, like, cosmic beings come seek his wisdom. Do you know what I mean? So he's that guy. That's what he's known for. In fact, let's be real. The stretchy powers ain't shit, man. If he was your average Joe and he had stretchy powers, he'd probably have a promising porno career. He wouldn't be Reed Richards. Okay? Reed Richards is that fucking guy. Here's another thing that not a lot of people will bring up. And I believe this was really codified during the Brian Michael Bendis Fantastic Four run. I could be mixing up my runs here. Apologize. But here's the other side of this that's like really important. The Fantastic Four as a brand and entity is created by Reed Richards. Okay? And he doesn't create it on a whim. He doesn't create it without a plan. In fact, there's a very important reason why he creates it. The Fantastic Four itself only exists because of Reed's guilt. His guilt over the accident. His guilt over Ben being a rock monster. His guilt over Sue, having invisibility powers. His guilt that he fucked up his friends and his family. Okay? So he literally creates the Fantastic Four to give them a way by which this curse can be useful, that they can contribute. And on top of that, they're famous. That's also Reed. He designs it. He designs the entire thing. It is his brainchild, and it is because he feels guilty. Okay. So now you sort of have the steel man for both sides of this argument, why people feel the way that they feel. It's like this. At the end of the day, within the context of the F4 being created by Reed, and within the context of Reed being the most intelligent person in the universe, do I have a problem with Sue Storm asserting herself, being in charge of certain things, and being the ipso facto leader in certain situations? Absolutely not. But let me tell you where I draw the line. If Sue's the person that created the Fantastic Four, if attributes from Reed's character are just given to Sue without explanation, I'm going to have a big problem with that. If Reed is meant to seem inadequate, if Reed is meant to seem not as intelligent, I'm going to have a problem with that. Okay? So what we can hope for as fans of the actual characters, right? We can hope that there's care given not just to Sue, but to Reed, because Reed is an incredibly important character. And frankly, one of the qualities in this might seem fucked up to like modern audience, asexual, don't want no man kind of motherfuckers. But like, here's the reality of this. One of Sue's greatest attributes is the grace that she has for her husband. Oh, it feels so gross. Man, shut the fuck up. It's this. She understands that if you have a mind like Reed, the burden of that is your responsibility to try to fix these problems. It would be like having super intelligent AI and not using it to try to make the world a better place. You would be a fuck if you did that. So there's this beautiful moment in the Hickman Fantastic Four that lays this out in a way that I really, really enjoyed, where Sue she's frustrated. He's distant. He's not around. And she is mad. And she gives him this really, really hard time. She like dumps a lot of stuff onto him, makes him feel super bad about all this sort of stuff, right? And then she separates. She thinks about it. And she comes back. And she apologizes. And she explains that she's empathetic to what it must be like to be him. Now, while that's going on, what she doesn't know is that Reed is hanging out with a bunch of alternate versions of himself, which I've talked about this before, but it's such a brilliant thing that Hickman does because, you know, Reed is somewhat isolated by his intelligence. There's not a lot of people he can converse with, relate to. You know, he's awkward, you know, because he's operating at such a high level of intelligence. He doesn't care about a lot of the social concerns and niceties that other people do. And so that's read as awkward. And it's at a point where Reed's like finally with people that understand him, and it's versions of him, and they're solving all of the world's and the universe and the multiverse's biggest problems. And that's exactly what you want to do if you're a man like Reed. He's living out a dream version of his reality. Here's the catch, though. All of those people, all of the other versions of Reed, have said no to the family. They have said that Sue and the kids, Ben and Johnny, do nothing but hold us back. And so this whole group of his peers have all made a decision to sacrifice family. And as Sue is getting mad about him because he's, you know, being pulled away from the family, trying to fix everything, and then she kind of comes around, Reed has a moment where he comes around as well. And Reed realizes, I'm not going to give up my family. In fact, I'm going to go try to solve these problems with my family. I'm not like them. Right? So it's just like there's this like a really I really love the family, the actual family dynamics of them. And as somebody that's married, as somebody that has a family, totally understand it. You know, everybody has their own perspective, their own needs, the things they're thinking about. A lot of people have responsibility that weighs down on them. And at the end of the day, a marriage is about expressing your own needs, interests, desires, while then also being willing to sort of bend and, acquiesce and try to make it so the best outcome is what is best for every member of the family, which comes with a lot of sacrifice, mostly on the parents, right? So there is a good way to do this. There's a bad way to do this. And I think, it's fair that a lot of people are concerned about this. You know what I mean? And especially from what I haven't seen the Lilo and Stitch movie, but from what I understand, like they throw Ohana means family out the window at the end. And that feels a little bit like a more modern, like, hey, we don't, kind of thing. And some people really don't like that. They even feel like it's maybe borderline propaganda. The first family, Marvel's first family, very important character. The family structure here. This will be the first time that we're going to see Marvel Studios and, Disney or whatever, but, Marvel Studios, give us, like, the family superhero on the biggest stage ever for the biggest brand in the world. So I don't think it's crazy for people to be a little concerned with how that situation is going to be handled. And I think there's reasons for, both sides of this argument to feel good, but also be concerned. And, so those are some of my thoughts on the situation, the drama with Sue and Reed. And look, there's a way that they could do this where it would be like a big eye roll for me, and I will absolutely call it out. I will 100% call it out and call it cringe and say that it was a mistake. But what I'm hoping for is something that can handle both, can be nuanced, can be more like Hickman's FF. And I think Shackman gets it. Like, Shackman brought up the Hickman stuff. I think he gets it. I think he understands that element. So hopefully it plays well in the actual movie. And until we see it in the actual movie, we don't know. Okay? So that's it. That's the Sue Storm drama and Fantastic Four. Jeez. Thanks for watching. And if you like this clip, smash a like on the actual video and subscribe to this channel. That way more of these clips get into your feed. I've also linked the full episode below if you want to check out the entire thing, including the Q&A we do with fans. You can also watch this show live. We do it live Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And you can also find all of my content, including the videos I put on my main YouTube channel, on the podcast feed.